Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching from, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the V8 Veterans here, brought to you by Racekraft Simulation, and it is Season 19, round number 3 here out at Phillip Island. I'm one of you commentators here tonight, Hamish Mono, joined alongside once again by Scotty Gamble. Scotty, a big night of racing at a track that is pretty much one of our home circuits here in Victoria out of Phillip Island. A great circuit, a great track combination with this circuit and with supercars. And with 40-odd drivers out there, it's going to be an absolutely massive night of racing once again.
Hey, how you going, Hamish? And thank you very much. Super happy to be here tonight. And you're right, it is the home of Victorian racing here at Phillip Island. We tend to go to this track a lot, and geez, it can turn on some good racing, some carnage at times. We might look back to perhaps season 18, round 1, but at the end of the day, it does turn on fantastic racing. I'm really excited to see how the split 2 guys go tonight and see where they end up.
Well, you say that we go here a lot, Scotty. This is the one track that we've gone to the most in the vets. I looked it up on SimRace Hub for some of the stats. We have done, prior to tonight, over 1,200 laps at this circuit. Can you believe 1,200 laps around one circuit? Amazing. The only track that has come close to that is Bathurst. That's the only other track that even comes close, and that hasn't even hit 1,000 laps yet here in the vet. So this is the track that we've done the most since the start of 2023. We have come. This is the 4th time we've come here across the vets. We came here season 14, 15. And then 18, and then now season 19 as well. So it is kind of built as a homestead here in vets pretty much. It appears a couple of times a year, and ever since the introduction of 3 splits, Scott, we've come here. This is the 5th time we've come here. First time since 3 splits were introduced, it was season 12, and then obviously now we're at season 19 as well. So we've been coming here quite a few times. Most successful driver around this track, Jamie McKnight. He's won 4 races around this circuit. No matter the split that he's been in, he has won 4 times around here. So he knows what it takes to do well around this circuit. Of course, he was in the sandpit on Friday night with the split 3 boys. So they had someone in there who knows what to do around this track. If we check out our track splash here for Phillip Island, it is just a classic style of circuit, isn't it, Scott? It is just, not too many corners, some good amount of straights, but some fast-paced racing action to come here, about an hour and a half south of Melbourne.
It's one of those circuits, Hamish, that as drivers, we love to drive it. It is a nice wide track. There's plenty of opportunities for overtaking. There's a long straight. It's technical in parts. You can make errors. It's one of those tracks that is difficult to get it off track. You can get it, but it isn't the easiest, so it's a great opportunity for drivers tonight to perhaps get a clean race under them, get some bonus points. But like I say, it's a great track. We also have one of our V8 Veterans drivers who works at the track in Brenton O'Brien. This is his home track. This is where he goes every day, does a lot of work here. We don't also just have the V8s, we have all the super bikes are big there, and all sorts of gear go on at Phillip Island. I've been there myself, and yeah, absolutely love the track.
Well, obviously, 12 corners around this circuit, 4.4 Ks as well, anti-clockwise layout. This layout, in fact, has been used ever since 1978. Prior to that, Scott, it was a street circuit in Phillip Island before it was changed to a proper full-fledged racing circuit. Obviously starts it on the Gardner Straight, then we're right through the fast-paced turn 1 out at Doohan Corner, and up through the deceptive double apex turn 2 out at Southern Loop. So many mistakes have been made through this little section of circuit in the past, namely round 1 last year. Of course, namely there was about 3 or 4 drivers decided to go all alongside each other through turn 1, and it ended in tears. I don't know if we're going to see any of that here tonight, but it's such a fast-paced section of circuit. You can make up positions easily, but you can also make mistakes very easily through that section as well.
Yeah, Southern Loop is extremely important, Hamish, to get it right. Like I say, sometimes there is a passing opportunity there, but more importantly, it will set you up for Miller Corner down at turn 4. That is where it happens at Southern Loop. You get the run, you get the drive off there, and it will open up Miller Corner for you for a look up the inside. From Miller Corner, it's extremely important. We go on turn 5. We don't really notice turn 5 because we're still trying to get off Miller Corner. But Siberia is another important corner of this track. This is where, as a driver, you can make 1 or 2 tenths over the field. You nail that corner, and you're off, Hamish, and then it's the big run up.
Yeah, well, we talk about, Scotty, obviously maximising runs. This circuit is built upon maximising your runs out of corners. If you can maximise the run, not only out of Southern Loop, as we mentioned, you get the advantage down at turn 4 at Miller, but if you can maximise your run out of Siberia, which is so easy to make a mistake there and lose the rear end and end up on the embankment, if you can maximise the run through there, it'll maximise your speed through 7 and 8 out at Hayshed, up through 9 at Lukey Heights, and then down into the hard braking zone of MG. It's a real roller coaster section of circuit, but again, maximising those runs is going to get you even more of an advantage than anything around this place. Obviously out through 10 at MG, and then through 11, very, very difficult corner. It's deceivingly difficult. It is so easy to, again, get a bit of snap oversteer or get a bit too much throttle input, and suddenly you're kind of trying to catch your car through there and you're dancing through the exit, and then you're dropping spots because everyone's kind of gone for the short shift strategy through 11 to maximize their run through 12 and then back down the straight again.
Yeah, absolutely, Hamish. And we may see some opportunities as they head down the Gardner Straight. It is all about getting off turn 12. There is a little bit of aero wash in the car that they do have to be careful and manage, especially if you're behind looking for that overtake. So it is a technical track in its own right. It's a wide track that we said, and it is great opportunity to provide excellent racing here. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the guys go tonight here, tackling this and getting their race on.
Well, of course, we already mentioned it's a mainstay in supercars, not only in real life, but to the vets, obviously. And we are so excited to go racing here once again. People question, why have we got it 2 seasons in a row? A year ago, Scotty, season 15 and 16, we had it 2 seasons ago as well. And both races were, actually, no, it was 14 and 15. I do apologize. Season 14 and 15, it was back-to-back. So, and both those races were absolute crackers. They were strategic masterclasses. Last season, it was more about the chaos than the strategy. Could tonight maybe we get a little bit of a mixture of both, some good strategy play, a little bit of chaos out there, just to give us a little taste of what could come throughout the rest of this season, especially with next week out at Watkins and running that circuit layout without the bus stop as well. This could give us a little taste for it, what's to come.
Yeah, strategy will play an important part here. It's one of these tracks that sometimes you always want to get pole, but if you're sitting in second or third or fourth and you can stay with that front runner, you are in a prime advantage here to be able to save 100 or 200 mil per lap just by being in the draft. And the draft is worth 2 to 3 tenths. That is worth talking about. It can give you that advantage. It can give you the fuel saving advantage. And over a stint, say maybe perhaps 14 odd laps for the first stint, Hamish, you could save 1.5 liters.
So a big shout out obviously goes to everyone who's already in the chat with us here tonight and who is viewing, whether they're at home or they're away, wherever you're watching from. We thank you for taking the time out of your night or the day or your afternoon to be with us here for round number 3, obviously season 19 of the Vets. Big shout out goes to Rusty Gander, the Hoff as well, Reese to Go, Mick Power, Stacey Void from the US. Great to have you here, Stace. Simon Hayes, Stephanie Piccoli, my Wednesday night cohort, my Friday night cohort for IMSA, but who also helped me commentate some F3 races last season for SRW. So great to have you out there, Steph, as well. TSM Esports Racing, which I think is David Kirby. I can't 100% remember. John Gallen out there too. Steve Grumley as well. So great to have you all here and great to have you all joining us for tonight's racing action, of course. But qualifying's over. Scotty, we're going to get into our little warm-up session now. A little bit of a precursor of what might be to come here tonight. And then it's going to be some absolutely epic racing around this circuit. We're going to be doing the second most amount of laps we've ever done around here. All 4 of the previous races around this circuit, Scotty, have been above 50 laps. This is the first time in quite a few seasons we're doing less than 50 laps around Phillip Island.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did take note of that. We've got 45 laps here tonight, Hamish. And it is still a long way. It's 200 kilometres. The starting fuel tonight is 50 litres. So it is a little bit lighter than perhaps what we have had in the past with the setups starting fuel. So it is going to be interesting. Pit lane window will open at the end of lap 2. So there is some alternative strategies you can pit on lap 2 and quite easily and comfortably make it home with your 2 compulsory pit stops tonight, Hamish.
one thing as well, drivers are going to have to be careful of, and they would have been reminded by race control prior to the proceedings, is be careful of that pit exit tonight. Obviously, we're not running the GP pit exit, the MotoGP pit exit. It's the Supercars pit exit, which is the shorter of the exits out of the pits. You're coming right out onto the racing line, so drivers who are coming down the Gardner Straight are going to have to be cautious and sit on the right-hand side in case there's someone sneaking out of the pits and possibly in their line of sight as well. So they're really going to have to be cautious here tonight about not, catching anyone out, off guard coming out of pits, as we can see a couple of drivers doing so now. That's one of the things drivers are going to have to be careful of too. And also as well, knowing that someone who's coming down the straight is going to have so much more pace than you by the time they get to turn one than you are. If they're coming up along beside you, you may as well just let him go, and then you can cut him, slot in right behind them. You'll have the fresher tyres. You'll be able to put some pressure on them within a lap. So giving up a spot like that, it's not going to be such a bad idea. And sometimes that's the smarts that racing needs, and the intelligence that racing needs for you to be able to get an advantage over someone in a race.
Yeah, the guys here are pretty experienced, Hamish. They know that there'll be people coming out of that shorter pit stop exit, and I actually quite like it. I think that's a good one there. You can see them coming down the straight and have a bit of a wear, and drivers that are entering, they are aware if they've got the track maps up and relatives that they know someone's coming. And quite often, you're right, they are trying to beat them to the first turn. But yes, it could play a role. It could play something into this track on how these drivers handle that, and the pressure tonight on trying to beat the undercut or go the overcut with their strategy and come out in front of drivers that they're racing against.
So of course, 2 rounds so far this season, Scotty. We've had 2 separate winners this season. Of course, round number 1, it went to Ed Fox after Matty Parker got himself a penalty off the back of the win, the on-track win out at Laguna. So Fox then took on the win of that race. And then last time out, he's on track at the moment. He was out on track. I was going to click to him. But Stephen Kennedy, who won his very first Vets race in his 150th start last time out at Le Mans. A little bit of controversy around that one, but at the end of the day, he was the one that crossed the line first, and he got the win. We haven't really got a kind of concrete shaping of what this championship's going to look like. I reckon this championship order could be a little bit fluid throughout this season, and we may not even know who the proper championship contenders are until maybe round 6, 7, 8, or even round 9 leading into the final round.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 drop rounds in here too, Hamish. That does throw a curveball, but it is refreshing to have that back into V8 Veterans. It does mean, and it does give you some little bit of a leeway where you don't have to make your life around every Thursday night. If you've got really important dates, weddings, family engagements, you can miss around and still be in the hunt. So yeah, I was super happy with Kennedy winning last week, on his 150th race. We had split 3 as well. This round, 150th race driver win his first race as well. So that was bloody awesome, Hamish. And yeah, I was really stoked to see that. Unfortunate for Matty Parker. He was across the line first, but yes, penalties. I know that feeling, and it does put you back, but I'm sure he's going to turn up strong tonight, mate.
Well, I think what's one thing to remember as well is Matty is still one of the strong players in Split 2. He proves he still has the pace to get it done, and he'll be there at the end of the season. As long as he can take advantage, finishing just off the podium or on the podium in your first 2 rounds, that's not so bad. You could have ended up a lot worse, losing a win and then finishing towards the back because you've been disqualified. But at least it is still a round that he can claim and not need to drop. And if he can finish better than that for the rest of the season, well, you can just drop those rounds and it's not so bad at the end of the day. It's early doors, obviously. He's still within the fight. And consistency is what's going to come down to it at the end of the day. If he can consistently finish up there, he's still going to be in that championship fight come round number 10. And he's still going to be a major player. But we're getting to our starting grid for tonight's race, ladies and gentlemen. It was quite a hotly contested qualifying session, but it was Todd Duggan who managed to get his car on pole position for Nova Sim Sports with a 1 minute 28.464, only 300ths of a second faster than last week's race winner Stephen Kennedy here in his 151st race start for M1 Racing. In behind them, Mario Reale of Hypersonic Racing lines up alongside the old mate and son Stephen Grech out of P4. Matty Parker, as we mentioned, he will start out of P5 alongside Glenn Corbett in P6. Darren Crosby and Simon Hedesheed will make up the fourth row of the grid, with Halil Cesar starting at a P9, with Stacey Boyd, our homegrown American, will start at a P10 and make up the top 10 here tonight on the grid. Gary Buckland and Ed Fox will then start alongside each other just outside the 10, as we go down to Jim Caparonis and Matty Monday starting alongside each other in 13th and 14th. John Gallen will then make up the top 15, with Robert Crow alongside for Simrig's Infinity Motorsport out of P16, with Dave Arney starting behind his Pacific Esports Racing teammate on out of P17. He will start alongside EWR's Matt Stoyles at a P18, with Shane Randall and Mark Howard, former teammates. Well, Mark comes from the team that Shane joined, but Mark, formerly of Infinity, now part of Velocity Racing Team, he'll make up the top 20 ahead of Jason Dibatito and Mark Houghton in behind him. Marty Hansen and Mick Clifton will then start at a P23 and P24 in behind them, with Peter Vermey making up the top 25. Will Munro, he'll just miss out on the top 25 here tonight, with Toddy Martin and Russell Gander in behind. Then we've got Mark Peck and Reese to go making up the top 30. Our old mate Jamie Davis will start at a P31, Scotty, with Trent Bennett alongside him. Wayne Shepherd and Peter Baxter will start in behind. Brett Taylor and Troy Sipple making up the top 36 cars on track. It's a big grid here tonight. Scotty Weston and Craig Healy, the teammates, will start alongside each other, with Richard Barella and Matty McMillan, the final two drivers to actually set lap times in qualifying. Brian Minogue, Andrew Hoffman and Michael Power unable to set times there in qualifying. Big thank you goes out to Race Control. Greg Favell, Anthony Visma and Lucas Burt. We'll have to see what Hoffy, Minogue and Power can do from the rear of the grid. Unable to set times. We know the sort of pace that Hoffy and Minogue have got, but it's going to be up to them to try and just keep their wits about them off the start here, Scotty, and just try and keep it clean here, as we've only got a couple more seconds till we go to green.
Yeah, absolutely. Another driver I'll be looking forward and watching will be Gary Buckland out of P11. He has had a couple of unfortunate races, but I do think he has the pace to push into that top 5 tonight.
So all the drivers line up on the grid. We're about to get our lights up and ready to go racing here out at Phillip Island. Toddy Duggan will start on the front row of the grid here out at Phillip Island. Who is going to get the jump for the first time here tonight? It is Go, and Duggan had a great start there, as well as Kennedy. There's been massive lockups in the background, and there's been a box start from one of the drivers. Peters is already off the circuit. There's already war wounds on the front of Mick Clifton's car as we come down to turn 1 for the very first time.
I've got a few cars still stuck on that line back there, Hamish, but an absolute great getaway by Todd, Stephen and Mario there. They have set the pace now. These three are out. There's a car out there wide, which I believe was Stephen Gretsch. He's got himself back into line as they head down into Kona Corner.
Coming to Miller for the first time. Under brakes, hard braking zone. Need to be careful of locking up. Matty Parker's already found himself up into a podium position. He's gotten past Riali and Grech, who've both dropped a spot off the back of that as well. Jim Caparonis is dropping spots early. The Houdini man in the background. He's running out wide at Miller, and he's dropped a heap of spots off the start here. He's already down 22 positions at the start of this race. There's also a WKMP car involved, who I believe maybe Manny McMillan off the side of the track there as well.
Yeah, I did notice a couple of cars missing their rear wing around here early. So there has been some early contact in that field. I'm wondering whether some of that was from the start line procedures. Maybe someone didn't get it in gear or something like that, Hamish. I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, they've got a lot of work to do, but it is not over. They do have that fast repair. They can fix those cars up. Maybe an early pit stop on for them. Change of strategy, may see them go ahead if this runs green for the second lap, which it is. So after this lap, pit stops are available to them, mate.
So as we come down the Gardner Straight once again, tell you what, two guys have had a fantastic start so far. Andrew Hoffman and Brian Minogue, both of them up over the 10 position gain threshold. Hoffman up 12, Minogue up 10. These guys are absolutely pushing their way through the field. You can see one of the Pecky's cars up ahead, I believe that's Troy Sipple. He's already missing his bonnet on that car, so he's been involved in some wars as well. Same with Brett Taylor, he's missing his rear wing. Possibly a bit of front to rear end contact between those cars on the way through, and that may have caused them to lose some body panels off that Mustang and off that Commodore.
Yeah, that does look very suspicious. Maybe they've got a reversal of what actually happened earlier on there, Hamish. But yeah, when you've got a bonnet missing and a rear wing missing, these cars are side by side almost. Yes, and that's the Hoff. Hasn't he made some ground? He just done another great move as he come through there. The word was we did have to watch out for his start, and look at him. He's up to P30 already.
He's up 13 spots off the start, although it would be corrected to 12, being that he would have started behind a safety car driver. So 12 spots on the road for Hoffy at the moment, and he is absolutely flying back in P30. We'll have to keep an eye on him later in this race, but at the moment, it is Matty Parker. He's P3. He's trying to chase down last week's winner, Stephen Kennedy, and his own teammate in Toddy Duggan out of P1 at this stage.
Matty Parker is in the prime position here, Hamish. He is sitting 3 in this 3-car train that has made a breakaway. And that's what you want to do. You want to work with those drivers, make that breakaway, and you want to be that 2nd or 3rd car in that train. Another one coming into the pit stops here. Who's this? Scotty Weston,
Scotty
is it,
Weston.
Hamish?
I believe he's been involved in a contact with Jamie Peters, so we'll have to keep an eye on if race control have anything to comment based on that. Those guys have had a coming together at MG prior in the lap, but Duggan leads the way. He's starting to build out a little bit of a lead here over Kennedy, but it's not all over just yet. But Grech is falling off the back of Parker at the moment like it's nobody's business. Header sheet up the inside. He wants it on Reale. Tucks it up the inside at Miller. Can he get it done? Beautiful move there from Simon Headersheet, former Split 1 driver on another former Split 1 driver in Reale, and that is just a textbook move down at Miller. Maybe Reale let him have it, but they're going to keep on going for another couple of laps here.
Yeah, fantastic move there by Headersheet. That was a very, very good, well set up. Reale, yeah, great awareness. He knew he was coming. There's no point fighting it. We're on lap 3. We'll let him through. See if he will take him up to the next driver. We've got Grech up ahead there. They have dropped off. I think if Grech cannot keep this pace up, Headersheet, Reale, Orbit, they will look to do the overtake on him early and try and catch these 3 that have made that breakaway.
You can see in the background as well, John Gallen, Stacey Boyd. These guys battling it out just outside the top 10. This is for P11 on the road. Boyd has dropped a couple of spots, namely outside the 10 to his teammate Gary Buckland up ahead, the silent assassin as we've named him in the past, and he's already starting to make some moves up inside the 10, but Gallen here trying to fight off strong and a hard charging Boyd who's trying to get back to where he was, but also Robert Crow who's up 3 positions in the background as well.
Yeah, good to see Robert Crow back in after his, I think he's had some issues, with his knee, and he's back up into the top 15 of this field, and really good. I do know Robert. I've raced with him over at PFR, Delta Force Racing, back in the day. He's a hell of a nice bloke, and yeah, really good to see him going well here. He's one of in your teams there, Hamish, and you probably know him pretty well and his history as well now.
Yeah, he was the first driver, one of the first drivers that I sniped in before I took over Infinity. He was one of the first ones that I kind of lured into the team to race alongside Will and then Mark and James at that period. And then Mark and James went to their new team, and it was just Robbie and Will for a while, and eventually Shane, Wayne and Jamie joined us over here at Infinity Motorsports. But he's had a strong run, lacked a little bit of consistency last season after getting some VR set up and struggling for a couple of rounds, but he's really coming into his own now that he's getting used to that VR setup, and he could be a dangerous player in future as he starts to find that pace once again in his car.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. He does have the pace, does have the determination. He was doing a lot of laps there. Like I said, I think he had a little bit of a injury in the knee there to get and it healed up. But yeah, it looks like he's got that all sorted. Although he is coming under a lot of pressure now from Matt Monday. He's got that red Holden really cranked up and looking very nice, very neat on track. And again, the Pelicans or the smiley face in Dave Arney, not too far behind as well.
Yeah, that fishy car. It's good to see that fishy car back in the Split 2 field after going back down to Split 3 last season. It just feels right to have Manny Monday out in the Split 2 field, of course. Although with him out there and Hoffy out there together, it gets a little bit confusing sometimes with a 051 and a 51 on track together. But, they make it work from time to time, so it's good to see. Boyd, though, he's under so much pressure at the moment, and he's just trying to withstand, of course, racing in the dead of night in the US. It must be a struggle to race against these guys who are in their prime time of being able to drive around the circuit.
It is, and it is a certain amount of dedication for those guys. But Stacey as well, I think. They get up at all hours to come race there. There's another one in the 3 as well that might do it at times. Tunes in 4 o'clock in the morning at their time to come and race V8 Veterans here. So we are lucky. We have got our internationals here, mate. And big congratulations to them and dedication by them. And I'm sure everyone appreciates having them on track to race with, mate.
Well, Heddersheed has also now gotten past Stephen Greck to get up into P4. Heddersheed was one of the drivers, Scotty, when I started commentating that. He was kind of known early on for me as he's a real strategic player. The first Phillip Island race I called the Vets back in season 14, he managed to get himself from P4 to the lead of the race just through a pit stop and went on to win the race. And the person he took the win off was the car behind him right now, Stephen Greck. So these guys have got history around here in terms of taking victories off each other at certain circuits.
Oh, that's a great bit of history there, Hamish. I really like that because, you know, you do have your rivals on track, and these drivers would remember that time. They would 100% remember what happened there. But at this moment, Heddersfield, he is absolutely flying. He made that move look really easy. I know Greg said, well, you can have it. I'll try and go with you. You take us up to Matty Parker. But there's a big gap forming, and this is a two-group gap. Corbett has got some work to do. Crosby, I know, we know Crosby can be fast when he wants to. He's looking at the rear wing of Corbett now, and there is, how many are in that train? It's less than a second between those drivers.
It is crazy how close the action here is at the moment. Stacey's confirmed he wakes up at 3 a.m. to come and race Vets. Now, that is dedication to come and race Vets with us. I mean, it is... I mean, I guess if you're a night owl, it's fine. Or if you're used to getting up early, then it's fine. But pure dedication on the behalf of Stacey Boyd there. Maybe he can get some more Americans in on the series. Maybe we'll start a V8 Vets US series as well, if the series can get big enough in future. Imagine that. Just a US version of this series would be absolutely phenomenal. But Corbett at the moment, he's P6, a little bit off the back of the top 5. But he is trying to hold off the SRW Tuesday Pro-Am champion in Darren Crosby at the moment. Crosby had such a dominant series last season of SRW, ended up winning that championship in the final round from Rick Viger, and he is just looking to push on and continue this rise up the ranks here in Split 2 and get back into Split 1 for next season of Vets.
Yeah, I do know Crosby quite well. Me and him have chatted quite a few times, and he is dedicated to making his M1 racing team, you know, bigger and better and go further. And for them to get the win last round, we've got 2 of their cars, which predominantly they do race just 2 cars. I know there is a few other drivers there, maybe a third that might race here and there. But they're 2 of them in the top 7, Hamish, for a very small team, and they're doing great here amongst some very strong competitors. Yeah,
it's and you know what? Supercars, not even just Vets, supercars in general in Australia is heavily competitive. Vets, though, even over the last year, you can watch how it's progressed. If you go back and look at, if you have the time to look at all the different broadcasts of the last year, you will notice the change in how much more competitive it has got, even just in a 12-month period. And it shows when you've got guys who were once Split 1 mainstays out of Crosby, Kennedy, Parker, and others, they're now in Split 2 because they're, you know, it's just that competitive and it's that close between them. As we have another car in the pits, possibly for a bit of an early strategy play here. I'm trying to get their name. It was Shane Randall. He's come in nice and early, lap number 7, possibly trying to get an undercut done on that big train and just trying to get something over the rest of the competitors out there on track.
Yeah, not a bad idea, Hamish. We're at lap 8. You can go to lap 14, potentially 15 if you do stretch it out. So lap 8's not too far off it. Maybe he's looking that he was getting held up a little bit, looking for some clean air, see what he can do. It'll be interesting to see his fuel load, how much he will take on here. I think most drivers would be looking around 50 to 60 litres in their first stop.
Well, he is now exiting the lane. And he's been in there. He had a 26-second stop off the back of that, 52-second or 53-second lane travel time off that last pit stop. So it was it was a kind of a reasonable run. Maybe taking 50-odd litres in the car, knowing that if we get a safety car at some point, obviously critical lap is lap 13. He wants to get that stop done early, so if there is a safety car, he can come in, he can fuel up, and he can get home. As long as it is around that kind of lap 13 up to about lap 20 mark. He will get the benefits of that, and he could really push his way through the field now that he has clean air that he can now just push on into, not have to do with battling, but now that his competitors are having to battle and they're getting slowed up in that big train as well that's a little bit further up the road.
Yeah, he will save his tyres a little bit. There is a bit of aero wash here that we've talked about. Really noticeable off turn 12. That's where you will notice that front end wanting to give way, especially when your tyres get to around lap 8, lap 9. and as you push forward, it is there. It's something that I battled with myself here on Thursday night and had to adjust the driving to suit a little bit, Hamish. And these drivers are going to be faced with that as well. They're going to have to adapt and adjust as the fuel load comes off this car. The rear end will go up higher, the tyres will become more worn. If you're in that draft, I wonder whether the effects of some aero wash and how they adapt to it will come into play.
Yeah, I think not only that, the tyre wear too. Obviously, this track can burn through tyres like it's nobody's business. It'll be interesting to see if vets ever go the route of limiting your tyres. So seeing as you can only do one tyre stop in a race, that would be quite interesting to see how that would play out alongside the two CPSs. Maybe to make it a little bit easier for the CPSs to happen, I'm not 100% sure. Brian Minogue's also coming to the pits for his first compulsory stop of the night, so we'll see what comes of that for him. Interesting enough, Jim Caperonis, he still has not managed to come back off that early wide run out of Miller, and he's just trying to make his way through the field, but he's far off the back of the likes of Randall, who's already done a stop, and then as well as Mick Clifton as well. They got caught up in that kind of start line tangle with another car on track.
That is surprising to see Caperonis so far back. And he hasn't done a stop, is that right yet? I know I did see someone come in at the end of lap 2.
He has done a stop. He came in lap 6, so he has done a pit stop. So he is currently on the same strategy as Randall, who came in a lap later. So they're probably going to want to try and come up the order together. Trent Bennett's now come in the pits as well on his debut season here in Split 2. So we'll have to keep an eye on how Trent does throughout this season if he can get any better as the season goes on. Let's talk about this though. Hoffy, 19 spots gained in this race so far. P24 on the road. He's just gotten past Troy Sipple, season 14 Split 2 champion. And now he's all over the back of season 17 Split 3 champion in Wayne Shepherd. So a couple of notable drivers there that he's now fighting it out with. Obviously a former Split 1 driver himself. It's quite interesting to see the kind of different generations of vets and when they've been highly competitive, but they're all still around the same pace together, or they can battle it out together on track.
Yeah, and Hoffy running that pink super cheap livery from WKMP Sim Sports in recognition and support for women's and breast cancer and all this sort of stuff. So you've got to, you've got to admire guys that go and do that. He's racing for a course tonight and he's letting it down on track too. He's making the most of it. I was really surprised with his qualifying, whether he qualified or whether he had some off tracks or anything, but starting where he did, up to P24 on the back of Wayne Shepherd, who we know is capable of winning here and being in the top 3 of Split 2. He is making incredible gains, Hamish. He's going to be one to watch. It'll be interesting to see whether he has saved fuel, whether he does go to that lap 15, or whether he comes in a little bit early to maybe get the undercut on a couple of these guys and take them a little bit further up.
Well, Reale, Corbett, Dibattito all in the pits at the same time, so that is where the hypersonic racing strategy is at. Jason Dibattito, he'll be our next driver on a major milestone here in the Vets. He will hit 100 race starts in 2 races' time. This is his 98th race start in the Vets, so in 2 rounds, that'll be his 100th race start. And then after that, if Split 2-wise, it'll be Will Munro and Gary Buckland. They will be getting to 100 race starts on the same round together. I believe it's in 4 rounds' time. After this one, I believe they're currently on 96. So those 3 guys will all get their 100th race start before the season ends.
Yeah, great effort there. I did see Peter Baxter go for a big send in the background there. I don't think he got it quite done, but yeah, he's looking like he did fall off from the send, or whether he got it done, I'm unsure, Hamish. But I did see a move as he came down into True Stoner and into Miller Corner there, mate. But maybe he's decided to put the foot down. Maybe he's made this break and he's going to try and catch up to Martin and Sipple in front and get on the train with Hoff and Shepherd.
Quite possibly. It could be Robert Crow, Marty Hansen and Reese to go in the pits. Baxter now also comes in as well. We'll see if any other drivers decide to join them in the lane. Will Munro coming into the pits. He's got a little bit of a mark on the front of his car, so quite possibly got into a minor incident there. Has now decided, let's just bring it in, get out of the train and try and make up anything we can on track. Todd Duggan, though, still leads the way. He's yet to come in for his stop. Kennedy and Parker all over the back of him, though. But Kennedy's without his teammate Darren Crosby to really back him up here in this 2v1 little Nova Sim Sports handicap affair up the front. Crosby, though, he is back in P6, and he'll just be hoping to try and make up some spots here throughout the rest of the proceedings.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong being in that Nova Sim Sports sandwich there up in P2, mate. But, these guys at the front, they will run it long. They will run it as long as they can, unless the safety car comes out. That would be the strategy at play here. We've got 2 compulsory stops at the moment. You've got to work together. You've got to maximise the pace, and Parker and Kennedy, they're doing exactly that. They're making Todd Duggan do all the work. He's burning more fuel. These guys are getting to save, like we talked about, that 100 or 200 mil a lap just by being there. And even if Duggan's that little bit faster, there is 2 to 3 tenths in that draft here, Hamish. And so, yeah, they're in the prime position, these guys, in P2, P3 at the moment.
You see Parker, he's just happy to sit in the train at the moment in behind both of them, as we mentioned. We know that Parker's had the pace about him, and we know that he's strong in this series. P3 at the moment on track. I mean, if he were to finish here, he'd be good enough for P2 in the championship. I mean, Kennedy would be leading if he were to finish where he is at the moment. So, as mentioned, his season's not over. You know, and he's still within this fight at this point in time, and it's good to see he's still out there having a crack and having a strong race effort as well. Header sheet 8 seconds off the back of them, so he's not quite fast approaching as maybe he would hope just yet, but I mean, it's not over till the end of the race, and if we do get that safety car, Header sheet's going to be back in this battle.
Yeah, they'll be back in it. And, you know, from Matty Parker's standpoint, he probably needs to not think about championship. He needs to take each race at a time. He's doing exactly what he needs to do here at this stage of this race, and sitting behind, sitting P3. He can see the leader in front of him. And just concentrate race by race, not worry about championship results. They haven't gone his way so far, especially in round 1. We know he wasn't happy about it, but that's what happens. Did we have the leader just peel off into the pit then, Hamish?
Yeah, that's Toddy Duggan coming in. So Stephen Kennedy will now take the lead of this race, and he'll get himself an extra point for leading a lap at this stage in time. Toddy Duggan gets the extra point for leading the most laps, but it depends if he's going to come out in behind Kennedy or if he'll retain the lead when Kennedy comes through the lane as well in future. But they have got a little bit of lap traffic coming up on them as well in Scott Weston and Brian Minogue. I know that Brian's got a bit of pace about him, but these guys do need that pit stop.
Yeah, I think they will come in this lap. They cannot afford to go 2 laps and let that undercut happen too far. Otherwise, they will be out of that draft. So I think we'll see Kennedy and Parker in this lap, and anyone else within this league group that hasn't hit, I think we'll see him come in this lap, Hamish, to get it done. We've seen a leader come in. I'll see first and second on track at the moment come in, but it will be interesting once they get that pit stop done. Who is going to be in front? Will there be a swap in these top 3, and who's going to have to do the hard work, the hard push in clean air, which for the next stage of the race, mate?
Yeah, it's, you know, obviously that undercut can be so strong around this track. Minute 30 lap time, we know that's kind of the prime time that's where the cutoff is for undercuts working very well. Scott, you know, minute and a half or under, that's when you can really maximize your undercuts. Anything over that, you're kind of looking for alternative strategy to try and work out for you. Kennedy comes in, but Parker stays out. So this is very interesting that Parker wants to try and force this another lap. If Header sheet comes in, and he is, this could now be an undercut for Header sheet over Parker if he's not careful. He needs to be cautious here, knowing that he's coming up on lap traffic, and as well the fact that he's going to be in dirty air, and then he's going to be in clean air again, where those guys, they're going to now be on a straight push up onto the back of him. We'll keep an eye on where Toddy Duggan is. He's coming up through MG. So he's not too far off, but I don't know, is Kennedy going to come out ahead of him here?
Well, it all depends on the fuel loads that Kennedy does, and I'm sure Kennedy will have in his mind, he wants to be within that 1.5 seconds of where Duggan is. Like, he wants to be there, so I don't see him exiting pit lane just yet there, Hamish. Oh, here he comes now. This is going to be it.
Duggan's
winding
got
it
the
up
run,
first
though.
gear. Has got the run. This is perfect. There's nothing wrong with that for Kennedy. He's within the tow. His tyres will be up temperature by the time they get to Wiki Heights. He's not too far off the draft. He should be able to push himself back up onto this.
And a little bit of traffic that might come Duggan's way could then benefit Kennedy as well. He'll be able to come up on the back of him. To answer your question, Steph, so there's 2 CPSs every single race. 50 litre starting fuel for 200 Ks or less distance. Above 200 Ks, it's an 80 litre starting tank, but there is unlimited fuel added into the car, so you can add up to the full tank, which is 110 litres. So, but you must do your 2 CPSs. You cannot do them on lap 1. You can only do them after you've done 2 green laps. So if there's a safety car lap 1, you would have to wait until a green lap after the safety car comes in. So the safety car would come in, you do a lap, then you do another green lap, and that's when you can come in for your first CPS.
Yeah, that's right. I was just having a quick look at the timings, Hamish, and I did notice with Todd Duggan's last lap, it wasn't a fast lap, it was a 132.1. And we looked at Matty Parker, who was a 130.0, almost flat. Matty Parker's in pit lane now. Crosby, Gallant, Howard, Martin have all jumped into pit lane. So this is really going to unfold for the second part of the race now.
Duggan and Kennedy come down the main straight. Wendell Parker exit pits. He's exiting now, but he is going to lose a heap of time off the back of Stephen Kennedy, who's just coming through turn 1. So going that lap longer, Scotty, has really hurt Parker there. He did have a 3-second longer pit stop and a 5-second longer lane travel, so he will make that back up in his next stop. But this is on track loss that he did not need in terms of letting Kennedy get away from him and get out of the tow, because now he's going to have to work even harder to get up onto the back of him.
Yeah, he's had a 5-second net loss there to Kennedy, which is, you know, it's unfortunate, but like you said, there is 3 seconds he will make back up into the next stop. So he has got a lot of work to do. We should keep an eye on and see whether he can close that gap over this stint, because I do believe Matty Parker will have that raw mid-pace about him, and yeah, he's going to have to work hard, very hard, to close up a couple of seconds. But if he does, Hamish, if he can close 2 or 3 seconds on the leader in Kennedy and Parker, in Duggan and Kennedy over this stint, that's going to put him in prime position come the last stop.
I'll tell you what, someone who is going to be in a very good position if we get a safety car is going to be Simon Heddersheed. He did a 36.8 second pit stop, a 1-minute 3 lane travel. If we get a safety car and the whole field gets bunched up back again, he's going to be in the prime position to make up spots in that pit stop, because he's going to need such little amount of fuel. I reckon that's at least possibly an 80 to a 90 litre fill for Heddersheed. So he wants to go long. He wants to try and push this out as long as possible in case there is a safety car. Knowing that he came in the lap after the critical lap, he's going to be in that prime position to make up spots now and get up towards Parker and Kennedy and Duggan, knowing that he had to try and make up those 7 seconds that he had prior to the pit stop.
Yeah, you're right. That's what he's played that strategy game here. He's gone for that longer fuel. It'll be interesting if he can maintain that pace, though. If he doesn't lose time, if he can match the pace, absolutely, it will put him in a prime position come round 2 pit stops. But at the same time, his car is heavy. It is, he's got a lot of work to do, but yeah, good strategy from his position where he is now. Could potentially put him right at the top of the field.
Well, last lap for Heddersheed was a 129.27. Last lap for Duggan, the leader, was a 129.24. So he is currently lapping on pace with the leader of the race. Kennedy was the only driver in the top 3 to go faster. That was a 128.92. Fastest lap of the race overall there for Stephen Kennedy. And he's starting to hound onto the back of Duggan. Now, that would have been with a little bit of tow and, you know, some clean air involved, stuff like that. But he's now going to put all sorts of pressure over the back of that Nova Sim Sports car.
Yeah, he's back into the prime position. That tow has pulled him up, and he's looking very, very strong. We know he's got about a similar fuel load. Oh, cars around here, Hamish. Got to be very careful here. He's made it. Oh, yeah, he's made that back on track all right. These guys are well aware where he is, and yeah, he's folded back in. I don't think the Cooler Master car there, car number 5, is going to be too happy about it, but that's right. He got it in, and that was fair play.
Yeah, so Corbett had that slight rotation off of MG. I believe he just overlooped it through the corner, and that was then kind of what led to that car being spun around. So he now drops a couple of spots, although Cesar is like a hungry lion seeing its prey in the jungle at the moment. He wants to get past him as quick as possible, get back onto the back of Arnie, and keep the pressure that he had on him there prior to kind of letting Arnie gain a spot over him with Corbett in the meat of the sandwich. So now it starts to put a little bit more pressure on, although Dibatito's in behind. Both the HSR cars can now work together on Halil. But it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Randall, though, leads this little pack, and he's not too far off the top 10, so he's had a nice consistent run so far. That early stop has paid off for him by gaining a couple of positions across that stint.
Yeah, this is a really good 6-car battle pack, and there's a few cars that are only a second behind. So if these guys start battling too much, they're going to bring those cars, those few cars that are just off this battle pack behind them. And yeah, no one wants that. I can tell you as a driver, you do not want to bring them back into it. So I think they'll just sort it out, Hamish. I think they'll go line and stern unless someone makes a mistake. But yeah, Halal Caesar, we do know him. I've raced against him. He will have a little send. Looks like Corbett's got a little defensive here. And did he get that job done? No, not quite. But yeah, it was a little defensive move there by Corbett, which I was surprised about. And I think knowing Halal Caesar and knowing how he races and racing against him a few times, you give it an opportunity, he is going to send it up there.
Well, we can see up a little bit further ahead, Stacey Boyd. He leads this little battle with himself and Gallon Heddersheed hard on the hunt in behind them. Gary Buckland, Silent Assassin, up to P6 now. So he is just lurking his way, sneaking his way up the order, up towards that podium once again. So it may not be too long until we see him battling it out for that third or even maybe second or even first position by the end of this race. We'll have to see how he goes. But Boyd leads them on to through Stoner and into Miller. And they are just trying to hold up with each other and catch up to the back of Mario Reale up ahead of them. Of course, Reale, a former race winner here in Split 2. He'll just be open to really consolidate what he's had in the past. Arnie, though, has managed to get around the outside of Randall through Miller. And now trying to hold position up through Siberia, and that's a great little move from him there. But Randall's not going to let him get too far away off the back of this.
Yeah, absolutely he's not. And got the PR car there. He's got a big train behind him. He's going to have to keep on the pace. These guys are looking to make some moves here. I wonder whether they feel they're getting held up a little bit. Coming up over coming up over into Lukey Heights, down, having a look on the tail, not quite. There was a defensive. He went half track. Can he get the run off turn 11 as we come up? Very hard corner, Hamish. You touched on it earlier. Very easy to get that wheel spin. But if you get the run, this will set you up for turn 12. Great opportunity coming out of here down the Gardner Straight, mate.
So you see out the back of Arnie's car, it just gives you a good idea of how big this train is and how much pressure he is under at the moment. Randall wants it though down the inside, out at turn number 1. Can he get it done through Dillon? Oh, he's not quite close enough at this stage. They got Southern Loop coming up. There's Corbett on the inside of Randall. A little bit of a knock and a little bit of a wiggle for his own right. And Corbett goes up to P12. All of a sudden, Randall has now dropped 2 spots in the space of 2 laps here on this circuit. Mark Howard's had a moment in the background as well. Where is he on my list? I believe he's been spun round. He's still going though. He just had a slide off track. Just wanted to keep an eye on him. I thought maybe he might have ended up somewhere. I know that Boyd and Gallon, these guys still battling it out up through Siberia and out towards Hayshed. I mean, there are just battles everywhere at the moment on track, Scotty, and it's so hard to keep track of everything out there.
That was a brave move by Corbett then, Hamish. Really brave. Coming into turn 2, put it up the inside like he did. The opportunity was there. He took it. And, yeah, well done. Well played, guys. That was fantastic to watch. And, yeah, really good driving and great racecraft. But it looks like Boyd has got a bit of, he's got Gallon on the back of him, eh? And that smiley face, it doesn't look like it's real happy. It looks like it's got an angry face going. It's determined. It wants to get onto this diesel car here. Great looking livery, that diesel car. And we're sending it down the straight. He has got the run on the inside. Is he going to do it on the outside? You can make this car stick on the outside. You have to be brave. Car on the inside has to give you room. Here we go as they come around. Yeah, he's going to get this done, Hamish. Is he? No. He wears great driving, guys.
It just shows the outside line sometimes is the most beneficiary of the entry into a corner as they come through. Stoner now, Gallon all over the back of him. Heddersheed wants to get involved too. Up towards Miller they come now. Hard under brake, so they're going to go 3 wide. Heddersheed up the inside. Fantastic move. A little bit of a knock there on Gallon as Boyd sneaks it back up through. And what a piece of racing there from Heddersheed to get it done on 2 drivers. Gallon's managed to keep the position on Boyd, and well, this is a phenomenal piece of driving from all 3 of them to have the wherewithal just to let it happen and not try and, you know, work too hard and end in tears at the end of the day.
That is absolute brilliant. That's what we want to see here in V8 Veterans. A lot of respect shown. Great driver. We know Heddersfield has the heavier car. He has the bigger fuel load. He has the pace. And to be able to pull that car up like he did, for those guys to go 3 wide, Wow, that was fantastic, Hamish.
It was absolutely unbelievable to see. Just look back in the field a little bit now. Will Munro, he's under all sorts of pressure here from Reese DeGoey of Performance Sim Racing, as well as Mark Peck in behind him now. So obviously Pecky and Munro, those guys had a coming together out at Lamar, and for some reason they just seem to be magnetised together on track. They're just with each other. But Reese, I don't know if he wants to be the meat in this sandwich if these guys have a coming together, but he'll just be wanting to try and make up some positions and stick with a couple of split two, well, veterans at this stage in time in Munro and Peck, who've been around for, well, Munro's been around since season 11, and, well, Pecky's been around since it almost feels like forever.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a couple of guys going in Caparona since Lisa. But yeah, DeGoey, he done really well last time out for memory, Hamish. We had a good old chat about him over doing the Cowie library. But he's got your dad there, Will Munro, in front. I had the pleasure of meeting him along with yourself and Adrian Zeal down there. We had lunch together. Hell of a nice bloke, and we had a great chats and a few good laughs there. And Mr. Munro is always up. We've got a Simrig's car off the side there. Is that Jamie Peters?
That was Jamie Peters, ironically. So one of the other people that we got to meet that day as well has ran it a little bit wide off the back of that corner as well out at Miller. So maybe cracking under the pressure there of Baxter. Verme's been spun around in the background as he starts to rejoin at Siberia. He's dropping a heap of spots. Hansen coming on his way through, but he's now off the side of the track too. So it's starting to go off a little bit here, Scotty. Maybe it's I don't know if it's the electricity or the feeling in the air. Maybe we're going to soon be getting a safety car or something, because it just seems that there's something in the water out at Phillip Island that's starting to cause cars and drivers to make mistakes at this stage.
These guys are starting to send it. They are not holding back. They want to make their mark. I wonder whether it's that 10 p.m. thing coming into play here, Hamish. Are we heading into 10 p.m. time? That's when it's our bedtime, V8 veterans. Is that starting to play? We're getting a bit tired on track. Is the pressure mounting? Are we looking? We're trying to cement our position on track so that we can make our final stops, because we can make it from here. We're only 22 laps from home, so you can make your stop quite easily. People are thinking about it. The pressure's mounted. So, yeah, things have started to erupt on track there, Hamish. And, yeah, very interesting play.
See DeGoey now. He's now found himself in a little sim ring sandwich between Munro and Peters, who's a little bit off the back of him there. Munro defends up the inside. And he's starting to put some pressure all over the back of Baxter here. We noticed earlier as well, Pecky had actually run it wide at Southern Loop. That was why he was off the back of that battle a little bit. He's now allowed his teammate Troy Sipple through as well. So this little battle pack, they're just starting to form up. They're just starting to get their elbows out a little bit. But I reckon it's going to start heating up. If they can stay together towards kind of the final 15 or 10 laps, that's when we'll start to see the elbows come out, and that's when we might start to see some little biffs and barges happening out there on circuit at some places where we might wince and think, oh, you probably shouldn't be going for it there, but you did lick it and you did send it. So you know, that's maybe what's going to be coming here soon, and maybe that'll lead to a safety car. It's what led to a safety car last time out at Phillip Island, but I'll have to wait and see. Fingers crossed that it's nothing too chaotic if it does happen.
It does look like the Munro is starting to push up in that Stinrig's Infinity car onto Pete Baxter. I know he's got the flames on Pete Baxter. He is determined. He had a great run in split 3 and deservingly bleeds into split 2, holding his own here in P20. Coming down with Will down into the 5th gear. We'd really get it on the inside there, Hamish. You've got to get it up close, back down to 3rd gear. All 3rd gear for me here into turn 2. Keeping it close. Looks like Will's really running it close on the inside there. Looking for the drive on the outside. Get it right out in the slipstream there of Peter Baxter. As we all know, looking at the 100 or the curbing board here. Get back all the way back to 1st gear for me here, Hamish. And short shift into 2nd. Get it close to the apex. He has done that. Lovely. Nice acceleration drive. Not too much wheel spin. Up to 3rd. Back down to 2nd to get into Siberia. Really, really important. We talked about it, Hamish, where we have to get the run off here, and it looks like both cars in Will Munro and Peter Baxter has got that run as we head up to Lukey Heights. Flat out. Do not lift around this corner. You can feel the car starting to understeer on you. Got to get your braking right here. Back down to 3rd gear, Hamish. Get it up over the top. Feather in the throttle. Back on the throttle now. You can get a little squirty before you get hard onto the brakes. first gear, short shift to second, get it on the curb. We've got a car off the outside. Try not to be distracted, Hamish. Third gear, short shift up, coming up to turn 12. This is really important. Seen Pete Baxter up front, got a little wide, got a little bit loose. Will Munro's on it. He is going for the scent here. He has got the drive. I think he's going to get the overtake done here, Hamish.
Well, we'll keep with this battle. That was Mark Howard who was off the track before, but Munro wants it up the inside, down through turn 1. He's going to get it done off the back of it too. Couldn't drag his own teammate through the back of the corner though, but he now finds himself in P19. I believe Mark Howard though has actually pulled it up on the side of the track with a mechanical failure on the rig, and this could be the safety car we were waiting for.
This is going to be a safety car. If that car is stopped there now, this will be a safety car. Those drivers who have come through, Hamish, have got the advantage of seeing that. Teammates have got the advantage of knowing. He would be calling out on the radio, hey, I've stopped, I'm calling out. People are probably starting to hear for a tow now. Pit stop is going to come alive. Everyone's going to jump in for their pit stop here.
Well, here are the leaders. We'll have to wait and see if they're going to come in off the back of this, if the safety car has been called just yet. I do believe it will be getting called off the back of this, but we're waiting for confirmation at this stage. But it is Duggan who still leads Kennedy and Parker. The person who we mentioned who is going to benefit off this the most is this man, Simon Heddersheet. He only needs a splash of fuel to get this thing home. He took the most fuel out of that top 10 on that last pit stop, and it is going to be a safety car. Robert Crow's come in, so is Matthew Monday. So this will now confirm for us that it is safety car time here out at Phillip Island.
Yeah, absolutely. Hedgersfield is going to benefit. He may have only needed 20-odd litres to get him home. So now he can drop that back down to 18, 17 litres. So he's just in to change his tyres. And during that time, he's going to get enough fuel to get him home. He's going to benefit big time. These guys here in Duggan and Kennedy, they've got to come in. They will come in. They also will be winding down their fuel required, that 2 or 3 litres, because we are under safety car. They will clutch it, save that fuel, but they've got to get this done nice. They've got to get this pit stop on the line, back down, pit limiter on, no mistakes made, in and out, to try and maintain that lead.
As they come in, there are some drivers still in the lane at this stage. A couple of drivers will get their laps back. The only driver I really have to feel for is Halil Cesar. He came in on lap 21 for his second stop, so he's the only driver who doesn't actually necessarily need to pit right now to get home. So although these boys have now come in, you have to feel for him out there, although he has made up a couple of spots off the back of this, could even make a couple of more. Heddersheet's now in as well. This is who we want to keep an eye on, if he's going to make up these spots that we think he will during this pit stop. But also to think about as well, he is going to have a fresher car off the back of this with slightly less fuel in it than the other drivers, and he's actually going to be able to push on home nice and hard. Kennedy, though, has actually come out ahead of both Parker and Duggan off the back of the pit stop.
What a move. That is a strategy. That's how it's done, guys. He has got it. He will be our effective P1 leader coming in behind this safety car. So fantastic move by Kennedy there. That strategy worked great. He saved that fuel while he had Duggan pushing. Parker has come out ahead of Duggan. Duggan's done all the hard work tonight, Hamish, for all these laps till now, and he's back in P3.
Look at this as well. Crosby is now up to P4 off the back of that pit stop as well. So he's also gained off this. Heddersheet, he's within the hunt. He's in top 6. Greg in the top 5. He's been there all day. So all of a sudden, the major players that we've been speaking about, they're all together and they're all on track. It's going to be a Nova versus M1 battle for this podium, with Heddersheet and Greg lurking in the background, ready to make the run in and take advantage of anything that happens. Vermeer, he's out of the hunt. He's going to have a wave around, to get past the safety car when they allow this to happen. And then it's going to be a straight out battle between Kennedy, Parker, Duggan and Crosby. And as mentioned, Greg and Heddersheet, they're going to be there to take up anything. They're going to be there to grab the pill out of the scrum if they need to run this thing forward and get that goal kicked if they want to get onto that podium or even get the top step.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an M1 Nova Sim Sports lockout for the top 4 at the moment. But I know you did touch on Mario Real. Felt a little bit sorry for him. Was that right, with pitting earlier? But he is in P7, and this will give him an opportunity to cool his tyres, Hamish. He probably has got a little bit extra fuel load because of that pit stop earlier, but at the same time, it won't be much. It'll only be a few kilos. So, yeah, he's right in it too. I'm sure he'll capitalise. Another driver that will keep it, John Gallen's back up there. He's +7. And Gary Buckland, the quiet achiever, as we talked about, he's up two positions in P9. And Shane Randall up 9 positions into P10. That's your top 10 here. On safety car.
So now that we are in the safety car, we will take this time to take our small little ad roll that we like to take here during our safety car period, of course. We will be back fairly shortly after this one, so don't go anywhere because we will not be gone for very long. Great to be back after that small little ad break there, brought to you by Racecraft Simulations. Safety car will be getting ready to pull away from the field. We'll be getting ready to go green at the end of this lap. John Gallen, we are never running through the field again unless there are less than 30 cars on track. I can promise you the voice can't handle it tonight. There's been too much happening for that to happen. But major players, major movers so far. Scotty, obviously, the Hoff up 21. DeGoey's up 10, Bax is up 10, Minogue's up 14, McMillan's up 10, Powers up 12, Sipple's up 17, Shepard's up 15, and then Randall inside the 10, as we mentioned, he's up 9 as well. So some big movers out there at the moment. The biggest losers, Ed Fox down 23, Hanson down 11, Clifton down 15, Verme down 15, Howard out and down 22, Bennett, I believe, is out and down 11, and then Caperonis down 28 positions off the start of this race.
Yeah, some big winners and not so big winners there, Hamish. Is this safety car pulling away, or are they going another lap? Looks like it may be pulling away.
No, I think we're going another lap.
No, another lap, yeah. Another lap. Well, that gives us an opportunity because Stefani did say, I want that rig, and that's that Racecraft there rig. And I tell you what, I want it too, Stefani. That is an absolute beautiful rig, and as everyone knows, one of the biggest sponsors there, major sponsor here at V8 Vets is Racecraft this season. And by all means, you can order online and get those products sent to your door. And from all reports that I've heard is that
if you've got the dosh for that product, then by all means order it. I unfortunately do not. But if you've got it, then please go and order that because it is an awesome bit of kit. And if I had the money, I'd be ordering it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. They also do your profile rigs and all that sort of stuff, Hamish. So yeah, big shout out to our sponsors there over at Racecraft. It's great to have them on board. It's the second season we've had them, Hamish, and they do some great products and innovative products too, might add.
Yeah, very innovative. For John Gallen calling out your pronunciation of Stephanie there, Scott, by saying it's Stephanie spelled different.
Okay, well, I am Australian, and I don't quite always get it right, but I'm glad you know what I meant.
we caught you anyway, Scotty. We caught you anyway. That's all good. But yeah, so obviously major players at hand right now, Scott. Kennedy, Parker, Duggan, Crosby, Greg, Hedeshid, Reality, they're all in this battle. Gallen, Buckland, Randall, basically our 3 silent assassins of previous seasons. They always find themselves in amongst the battle. they will be ready to pick up the pieces if something happens or something blows up ahead of them for sure. Outside the running a little bit, obviously Hoffman, he's down to P22. He could easily get himself in the top 15 now that the whole field has been condensed back up together. Robert Crow, we know he's got the pace. Corbett has got the pace, but sometimes he lacks that little bit of consistency to really take advantage of that pace. He's done it in the past, but he's yet to do it again on that consistent basis. We know that Arnie's got some pace in him. We know Cesar is a race-winning worthy driver out there. Stoyle's yet to really rise up the ranks, but he could have a good shout here tonight. And then like the likes of Sipple, former champion, Dipatito, we know that he's done well in the past. So it could be all to play here for some drivers, but there's also, you know, the unknown in Stacey Boyd, P11. Could Stacey get himself a cheeky top 10 or even a top 5 if something goes his way here tonight?
Yeah, he's very possible for him. The driver I'm looking out for is Troy Sipple over at Monty He's racing, Hamish. He's up 17. He's at P19. He won't be happy with that. As you said, he is and I think we should see him go for it. Like you say, they've got everything to go for here, nothing to lose. So this is going to be very interesting. Very like how these drivers go about it. Will they settle down for a lap and bring these tyres back up to temperature? Just go line of train, and will they start to push for the moves then, or will they go for the move straight away? Looks like the safety car's in, Hamish. Back to you. Get this race back underway, mate.
So we're getting ready to go back to green now. Stephen Kennedy will have control of the field off this restart, of course. He hopes to try and get not only his second win in Vets, but his second win in a row here in his 151st race start, and he has gone nice and early off the exit of 11. Straight run round through turn 12 now to start the next lap of this race. Lap 30 of 45. It'll be a clean 16 laps to go off the restart as they come firing through down the Gardner straight up towards Doohan once again. See a couple of movers in the background. Heddershee just trying to, you know, force the move there on Grech, but he's not quite close enough as Kennedy leads them through. Duggan runs it wide. Crosby wants it round the outside of him up at Southern Loop. He's gotten it done on entry, and all of a sudden the whole landscape has changed with two M1 cars on the podium. And one of the Nova boys have dropped down as Heddersheed wants it on Grech now, up through Stoner and into Miller. They go too wide.
He's going to get this job done, Hamish. He is in a prime position. Will he cover? Oh, he's covered it lovely. Geez, he got a nice rotation of that car coming into off Stoner into Miller. You know, I thought that diesel engine there got it done. But,
but Duggan's lost it.
Wow, he's off track here. The pressure got to him, Duggan. What's going on? You've led all the way till now. Get that rejoin underway and try and gather yourself back up, mate. You know, you'll be disappointed with that car under pace. There's his slot. He went down. He's gone back to P20.
He's gone from P4 down to P20 and battling it out with Matty Monday. Oh, there's been I believe that might have been slight netcode contact between them there, Scotty. Monday is just going to slot him past. Duggan's going to come back in behind, and now all of a sudden, it's a good old 1v1 between Toddy Duggan and Andrew Hoffman with Mark Peck in behind. Duggan, though, finds himself 2 paces off the position of Troy Sipple, the man that he lost the season 14 championship to when round 10 was not run. Those were the 2 guys alongside Mark Houghton who were in the battle for that championship. Duggan took it because the final round was never ran.
Here comes a nice pass down the inside. Will he get it done? No, not quite there. Looks like his teammate's going to have a little bit of a look at it too there. He's trying to sort it out around. Yeah, they're going to keep it all together. Cars firing through. It's quite spread. And how things can change in one lap, Hamish, where we've gone from a sandwich on Kennedy to an N1 sandwich on Matty Parker.
Just when you think you know the game, Vets goes and changes the culture. Every piece of landscape has now changed in this race. All of a sudden, Duggan's out of the hunt, and all of a sudden, Heddersheed is in the hunt for a podium, who's trying to chase down Crosby, Parker, and Kennedy in the top 3. He's got Grech not too far behind, as well as Riali. All 6 drivers in the top 6 are former Split 1 drivers, and they are now battling it out, not only for a podium, but for a win at Phillip Island in Split 2 here for round number 3 of season 19 of the Vets.
All these guys are in with a chance all the way. Gary Buckland, John Gallen, Randall, Boyd, everyone in the top 10, even though the cars are spread out. If these guys start to battle, start losing a second or 2 a lap, the coming up to lap 31. They're about to go over for lap 32. Things could really change, Hamish. And I was trying to work out what's going on here. Just different lines there by the Parker and Crosby. Parker was trying to throw the draft, doesn't want to give any more away to Crosby. Might be feeling the pressure of Crosby. Head of show will be thinking, this is absolutely beautiful. You guys keep doing that. I'm going to get up on the back of you. You've got Gretchen, Riali, Buckland. We're all watching it unfold. And this could develop from here.
Well, we can only hope it can develop from here. We've got obviously 14 laps to go, or really 13 and a half laps to go now. They're out at Miller. And everything is just starting to get put into place of what could be an intensifying main event for us here on the Vets. It is an electrifying prospect of a top 4 battle, but even more electrifying is a top 6 battle for a win. And if they can all get involved, then it is going to be hell for leather out there, on for young and old, between each and every one of these blokes up the front of this field. And they are all battling it out hard. They're not wanting to give up anything at this stage. There are heaps of battles throughout this field, obviously. Dibatito, he's got Crow and Shepherd all over the back of him, although he's run it wide out at Lukey Heights, and that's going to make that just so desperado. Maybe a little bit of contact with Crow. He seems to have pulled it up and tried to let him back past. Not sure if there was much in that, but that's just what's come off the back of it. And that's now promoted Wayne Shepherd up into the top 15. Obviously, he's got Sipple fast approaching on the back of him. Finally got a new bonnet on that Quantum Pecky's racing car in behind. DeGoey's all over the back, as well as Monday and Duggan and Hoffman. That is the top 20 battle. And then Dibatito leads to Crow, to Peck, to Munro, who's got Baxter all over the back of him as they come all the way down through Gardner onto Doohan Corner, as they've got Pecky on the inside of Crow. Crow wanted it around the outside. Can he get it done? Pecky's made that done nicely. They're up through there, but this is... Oh, they are getting tight, and it's almost like this could get even worse if they want to try and keep this together here, Scotty, because they're getting the elbows out, and we did say 10 to 15 laps to go. That's when the elbows start to come out, and that's when battles start to heat up.
There is 11 cars in this
battle. Oh, there's a car off. That's Peter Baxter.
Off. Oh, that's a big hit into the wall there.
That was
Hopefully
a big hit. He's got it started.
Oh,
no, he's back on the back. Oh. And I mean, that was a big hit. Obviously, he was probably quite disoriented from that. Very lucky not to hit Caperonis, although Caperonis has had to run it way wide. Real scary moment there, obviously, but just a big hit from him. Obviously, probably didn't have his wits about him at that stage in time. Thought the sand trap might have been a little bit bigger than it was. And, I mean, just probably lost where he was on track. Probably hasn't spent a lot of time in that sand trap, so he didn't know exactly spatially, awareness-wise, where he was. And it just leads to a massive moment there for him.
He's not going to be happy about that, Hamish. Not only has he damaged his car, but he might get a little call in from race control here. Would be from that rejoin. He'd be disappointed in himself. He's a really fair driver. Like you say, he just lost that little bit of spatial awareness, a little bit of red mist probably with himself after that accident. And yeah, this hasn't worked out great for him at all. Hasn't worked out for Caperonis either, but he hasn't really been in it all night, which is surprisingly. I'm a little surprised something's going on there with Jim over at Chubby Buns there, but yeah, he just hasn't been on the place. We do have nights like that where sometimes, things just don't go our way and it makes it a little bit more harder. He's got a little bit of damage on the left-hand side there, which sort of means he might have had a bit of contact along the way, Hamish.
Yeah, I believe possibly there was actually contact with Baxter and Munro. I believe if we look at the rear of Munro's car, there might be a slight edge of contact there. Not quite 100% sure. But I believe that may have been how Baxter actually ended up in the sand and into the wall. We'll obviously wait for the race control confirmation. He's got Mark Houghton in behind him here, who seems to have actually changed the Accelerate Sim Racing livery on that car. They're running the... what is it? I'm trying to see what it is. Maybe it's an early kind of reveal of like a tribute livery for something. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know.
I don't know. I thought it was a Playboy tribute, but just by looking at that, but
it looks like, I think it might be an early Anzac Day livery, possibly, and that might be the first.
Hard to read at the moment.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was only joking, but yeah, hard to read on that at the moment. But see the guys, there is some Anzac coming up. Anzac Day coming up. I wonder how many of these teams will run an Anzac library, Hamish. I know our guys over at 9-5 looking at it. So I'd imagine there's quite a few others as well.
Well, I can confirm that Infinity we will be running one. And I put this out to anyone else out there to do this as well. We're actually going to be having, instead of obviously having all of our personal cars where they have their race number and their name, like the name on the wing and the race number on the roof, instead we're actually going to have the names of people who've either in our families or our friends or anyone that we've ever been involved in who has been involved in some form or fashion in the armed forces here in Australia. Their names are going to go on the roof of the car, and that's what we'll be running for Anzac Day, with a little bit of a tweak to it as well, just to change the colours up a little bit for that round. So that's what we're doing for our car. And you know what? I said to anyone else out there, if you guys have got family members or friends or anyone close to you who has served in the armed forces here in Australia or New Zealand, put their names on the car, because that's going to be a great way to shed, if they're still with us or if they're not still with us, to share their memory or their story in some way, but also bring awareness to the sacrifice that they're making as a member of the armed forces here in Australia, as you are, Scott, obviously. And you know, and it's just important to recognise what they've done and the sacrifice they're putting up for our country that we love so much.
That's a great way to put it, Hamish, and an extraordinary gesture by you guys over there at Henry's Infinity. Yep. Always remember, do take note with the military background of the guys and teams that do make the effort for Anzac Day, and and I'm sure everyone serving or who has served in the past really appreciates the recognition that you guys out there can give them. So yeah, get your Anzac liveries on. There's a great suggestion by Hamish, and looking forward to seeing how those liveries roll out on track day.
Well, Hoffy said he doesn't have enough room to put all family members to go on the car. Hoffy, all you got to do is just make a pattern out of all the names and then lay it over the pink on your car or lay it over the black, and then they're on the car in some way. It doesn't necessarily have to be readable straight up, just to know that they're on the car in some form or fashion. That's the way you can do it as well, or any other way you want to do it, even just their initials on the car too, Scotty, as well, or however you want to try and get it implemented. If you want to have that implemented on your livery, then that's the way you can do it too. We didn't have enough to make a pattern, but we thought, well, we can at least make a list and put it on the roof, so then we can see it with some camera angles around the track. And I believe we're going to Rebel Ring for Anzac Day, so that'll be a good track to have it up in terms of camera angles that we can get on the cars, and it's a nice open circuit, so we're getting a really, really good view of a lot of them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Red Bull Ring, that'll be interesting. It's got the big bull there. Hoffy did tell me something about that big bull. He's in the chat. We'll leave that up to him. Something of note that I never noticed before until Mr. Andrew Hoffman mentioned it to me, but quite extraordinary. So yeah, that'll be an interesting track. It is still very close at the front here, Hamish. You know, Kennedy's still leaving over Matt Martin, who's 1.2 seconds behind, but Darren Crosby, 0.6 behind. Not much in it. These guys have just settled in. They've got 8 laps to go. Hedgersfield has dropped off a little bit. Maybe he's biding his time. Maybe he's resetting his tyres. That sometimes you do have to do that. You've cooked them a little bit. You have to reset them. And I did notice in practice when I did do a run myself, Hamish, that it took me 2 to 3 laps to calm the rear tyres down after I tuned them back to get back those lap times. Otherwise, I was losing 2 to 3 tenths a lap. We've got an incident here, Hamish. It looks like Todd Duggan's caught up in it again. Yeah,
it was Toddy Duggan and Wayne Shepherd. Those guys have been caught up in something together. And Duggan's night is going from extraordinary to just one that he'll want to forget at this stage in time. It's a shame for Toddy. Obviously, he's a former champion. He won the split, the season 15 championship here in Split 2. And he's just hoping to get back to winning ways and get back to those championship winning ways that he has prior. But Kennedy leads the way to Parker to Crosby. That's the top 3. Heddersheet and Grech makes up the top 5. Then Riali, Buckling, Gallen, Randall, and Caesar make up the 10. I have just confirmed as well, TSM Esports Racing is Halil Cesar in the chat. So I'll remember that for future, Halil. Sorry for getting you confused with somebody else, but it is Halil who's currently fighting out there with Shane for P9 on the road at this stage in time.
That's an extremely recognisable car that Halil Cesar does drive. That Cooler Master car, you cannot miss it on track. We know the Cooler Master, I believe that's PC parts, maybe water cooling or DC towers or something like that he runs there. But yeah, it's a striking livery too, Hamish. I don't mind that blend of multi-colours going through the car like that. It's quite a nice livery, mate.
It's a very kind of Miami Vice look, isn't it? And I
Yeah.
am
Yes.
very accustomed to the Miami Vice. Look, for anyone who might be a basketball fan, I'm not a big basketball fan myself, but I can respect the Miami Heat black, pink, and sort of aqua teal color jerseys that they had. They were sick. And this car looks brilliant on track. You cannot miss it, and you know what it is when you see it. That you do not, like, for example, I mean, my team's car's in front of it. A lot of commentators that are not me gets our team confused with DPR, because obviously both teams have got sim rings on their car. You do not get the TSM Cooler Master car confused with anyone, because it is so striking and it is so unique, and it is absolutely fantastic to have it out there on track. But it also benefits, even though it is unique, it looks like a race car, and that's what I absolutely love.
Yeah, it does. It does. It looks tough at the front end, and it's got almost like zebra stripes on the side. Something I've noticed here, Hamish, is Matty Parker is falling back further and further. I wonder whether he's underfilled this car. He's maybe having to save a little bit of fuel, get it done now, maybe able to push on. But he's right on the verge of losing that draft. And if he does, that's going to cost 2-3 tenths, and that's going to put Crosby right in the prime seat to get a move done on Parker, and might even bring Hedgefield up if Matty Parker is saving or struggling with tyres here in this last stint.
Yeah, exactly. And he may even just be struggling with those tyres. Just to confirm as well, Will Munro has just traversed through the lane. He did get a drive-through penalty for the contact with Peter Baxter. That led to Peter Baxter ending up in the wall. And I believe Peter Baxter also copped a penalty for his rejoin onto track as well. Mark Peck is currently in the wars at the moment. He dropped a couple of spots off the back of Miller. Crowe also dropped a couple of spots too, but he's in an intensive battle here with Minogue. Crosby, though, has now gotten past Parker, who's dropping back. He's run it wide out the exit of MG, and all of a sudden, it's Hedesheed on the podium with an M112 as we start lap number 40 here of 45. 6 laps to go, and Matty Parker's off the podium on track.
Hedesheed is not going to let Crosby get away with this, and Crosby's going to do everything he can to get up, protect his teammate, Steve Kennedy. Imagine if he could go back-to-back winners, from 150 to 151 races now. And yeah, to see these two guys, the yellow and black M1 racing team, 1 and 2 at this stage, absolutely phenomenal guys. Hischer P3, Matty Parker will be kicking himself. He had it there. He had it all to do, had it all to play for, and looks like he may have just cooked those tyres, Hamish.
Yeah, I think possibly overcooking them at this circuit. We know it's a tyre killer. It's one that you've really got to keep them got to keep them contained, keep them in line as well. We know Hedesheed, he's strong in terms of strategy. He's strong around this track, and when I saw that long pit stop, I knew he had a plan ahead of him, and it's worked out to absolute perfection. He's not on the top step like his last strategy masterclass in season 14 when we were here, but it is still a great play for him here to get up onto the podium. I believe Robert Crowe and Brian Minogue have had an incident. Minogue is off. Crowe's off as well. These guys have now tangled down at Miller, and it is starting to go off here with just about 5 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. They won't be happy with that. 5 laps to go. That dropped him quite back. We talked about how Robert Crowe, it was in P13 last time we were talking about him. He was having a great race. Back into P32 at the moment. Disappointment would be all inside that driver's helmet. But he's got to refocus. He has got 5 laps left. He has got a group in front of him. He may be able to make some more positions. Another driver that we did touch on, that we were going to keep an eye on, Hamish, Roy Sipple from the Quanti Peckies Racing. Up 21 positions. He is in that top 15 as well. He's driving extremely well, as you'd expect, being a former champion. But he's doing everything right from where he started, and he's got a little group in front of him with these 4 or 5 laps to go in Arnie, Stoyles, and Corbett. I think Stacey Boyd might be leading it. So he could possibly make a few more spots if things play out in his favour.
Well, if there's a little bit of chaos ahead of him, he could even find himself as high up as P10 as Caesar and Randall. These guys are still battling it out. This is for P9 on the road. It's for the dying embers of the top 10. They've got Boyd, Arnie, and Stoyles and like in behind them, so it is an intensifying battle. Caesar pushing ultra hard to keep it on the back of Randall right now. He does not want to let him get away. Randall is a cool, calm, collected operator, trying to get faster. Of course, finished P4 in the championship last season. He was the best of the rest in Split 2. And it's from these consistent performances, getting the lower end to higher end top 10s. He never finished on the podium last season. and he finished P4, and that just shows how consistency is absolute key here in Split 2.
You know that that Cooler Master car is going to keep applying the pressure. He does look like he's struggling with the back ends. When I noticed on that outside braking zone into Stoner Corner there, Hamish, he did have a little lock-up. There was a little bit of smoke. The car was wiggling under him. He hasn't got the run off here, but the slipstream may pay into it. Randall's doing everything he needs to. Everything he needs to do to keep Halal Caesar, who we know is a split one driver in the past, behind him. There is a big group backing up there. There's another 4 or 5 hungry drivers who want to go forward from this position. So he's got all the work to do. Randall, you are under pressure. You're doing everything right. Having a great drive for Caesar. You've got it to do here. It'll be really interesting. See that car? It's not playing nice, Hamish.
It doesn't look stable, does it? It looks incredibly feisty on the exit corners, and I think it's coming down to how hard he's pushing that throttle input and how hard he's trying to get under, onto the power and get the run. Where Randall, he's been nice and smooth, and that's how he's finding the maximization of exits is those smooth runs. It is important to get smooth runs on your throttle input, on your steering input and output as you come in and out of corners, to just get that power down as soon as possible, but get the car straight and get it powering on through up towards the next part of the circuit as you're coming up to a hard braking zone or you're coming up to a passing opportunity, to be able to defend it, just to be able to carry that speed forward. Defends it nicely at MG, covers the inside line, forces Caesar to go wide. Gallen's dropped off though. He's now going to drop outside the 10 as he's run it wide at MG. So Randall now all of a sudden finds himself P8 with Caesar P9 and Stacey Boyd, the American, inside the top 10 at this stage in time. But back up the front, Kennedy, he's leading his teammate Crosby, who's got Heddershede all over the back of him.
Yeah, Heddershede is applying the pressure. I was watching the lap times there. He just done a 29.9, well, 130.1 from Crosby. So he's got 2 tenths on him last lap, Hamish. He is starting to come on strong. 3 laps or 2.5 laps left, thereabouts. He's going to push it, see if he can gain it. Oh, a little lock up there by Crosby too. That's not going to help you at this stage of the race. You don't want to be doing that, mate. You want to keep it smooth, keep it going. Try and keep Heddershede behind you, but you keep doing a few little lock-ups like that, it won't be long. He'll be right under that wing.
He needs to be cautious and careful. I noticed on the timing tower, Caesar and Randall, those guys are not giving up that battle at all in the background. They are still fighting it out. And look at the train in behind them right now, Scotty. These guys are licking their lips at the prospect of these two having to coming together and then picking up the pieces. I mean, if both these boys come together, all of a sudden both the PER cars are in the 10, Boyd's up in the top 8, and Corbett and Sipple are on the verge of the 10 if these guys go off track together.
Yeah, look, this has brought Boyd and Arnie right back in it. We know Arnie, you give him an opportunity, he will spend it. And Gallen, his teammate behind him, he's got a little bit to prove. He went off track earlier. He lost a ton of positions. He's back in P12 where he should be actually P8. So, yeah, he's not very happy with it. Yeah, this is all to play out. This is a good train. This is a really good battle pack. And guess who's hanging on the back there, mate? It is the pink WK and P6 Sport car and Andrew Hoffman up into P15 from last position on the track.
28 positions gained for him. Although when we correct that with the safety car not out there, it is in fact 27 positions gained. Obviously, we've already had a record equaliser this season of Reese Tagoe last time out. He equalled the record that was set by Stephen Grumley. But at this point in time, do you think there's any other choice for driver of the day at this point, apart from maybe a Heddershede or even a Kennedy? I mean, to have that happen, or even Randall to get inside the 10?
Yeah, it's a tough one there. I think it's when you make up so many places. I mean, Sipple's made up 22 or 22. Hoffman's made up 27. You know, they are good gains, but he's drive by Shane Randall. He's in the top 10. You know, when you get into that top 10 amongst this field, that does deserve a little bit of recognition. So Garrett Buckland up 4 into P7. He's been solid at the moment.
Yeah, so's Riali, although he's down 3 in P6. Grech is down 1 in P5. Parker is up 1 into P4. Heddersheed's up 5 into P3. Crosby up 5 into P2. And Kennedy up 1 into P1. It is white flag lap. 1 lap to go here at Phillip Island. Kennedy's got a nice gap over his teammate on in Crosby in P2, Heddersheed P3 at this stage. It looks like this may be the order that we see them finish in if they can keep it nice and clean across the last lap.
Yeah, look, Kennedy's got this under control. He's 2.1 seconds. He's got his wingman in Crosby behind him. So he is absolutely in the prime position. If he does not make a mistake, this race is his. Although Crosby, we do know he's cooked a little bit of tyres. We know he's a tough competitor. He's got Hedgefield behind him. Hedgefield has drove exceptionally well. He's played an absolute masterclass in his strategy car to get it up 5 positions into the podium. Matty Parker, yes, a little bit unfortunate, cooked the tyres, but a P4 result amongst these drivers, is you're going to be happy with that, mate.
Yeah, I don't know if you could be, unhappy. He started in the top 5, he's remained in the top 5. Yes, he had a podium on offer, but to be able to stick it with these guys who've been incredibly strong in the latter half of this race is absolutely exceptional. Stephen Kennedy, though, he started P2. He got it up into P1 after the safety car. He'll come round the final corner, and Kennedy's going to go 2 in a row out here at Phillip Island. 151st race start, and his second win in Vets in an exceptional performance. Crosby P2 for an M1 Racing 1-2, and Heddersheed on the podium once again out at Phillip Island.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. The 2 M1 cars, 1 and 2 here tonight. Look at this. There's this train that we talked off on the back of it. We're going to finish in the order that we talked about earlier with Randall, Caesar, Boyd, Arnie, Gallen, Corbett, Sipple, Hoffman, all in that train. Hoffman up 27 positions into P15. He is going to be hard to beat for that chubby buns, mate.
Yeah, it's hard to argue whether it's going to be Hoffy or even Sips or even Randall. Heddersheed's a shout too. Maybe we'll put it out to the chat. What do you guys reckon? Out of Heddersheed, out of Randall, out of Hoff, and out of Sipple, who is your chubby buns driver of the day? I think my vote's going to go to either Heddersheed for that strategy play or the fact that Randall's actually held off Caesar for so many laps and kept it inside the 10. What do you reckon, Scotty?
Yeah, look, there's some good choices there too, mate. I did have my eye on Troy Sipple. He did start not at the last, but he was amongst other drivers. He kept it clean. He had a lot to deal with throughout the race. He's had a few incidents in front of him, mate, and he brought it into P14, 22 positions, but 27 spots, top 15 from last spot. That's going to be my pick, mate, but let it open to the chat, see what these guys have got to say.
We have got a vote for Stephen Kennedy. We've got a vote for Hoffy as well. Hoffy saying that Shane got to take it too. Let us know who you reckon, guys, out of the Hoff, out of Randall, out of Sipple, out of Heddersheed. Who deserves the Chubby Buns driver of the day? You guys have got the power on this one. It's too tough to call for us. We're both going 2 which ways. I reckon it's the 2 top 10. Scotty reckons it's Sipple and Hoffy. Let us know in the chat who you reckon, and we'll make a choice before the end of the broadcast. We will get up our provisional race results, though, in the meantime, whilst we wait for that decision to be made. This is how they lined up in the end. Obviously, some penalties may be yet to come, but this is provisional. This is how they ended on the road on Thursday night. It was Stephen Kennedy, P1 for M1 Racing, ahead of his M1 Racing teammate Darren Crosby out of P2 with Simon Heddersheed making up the top 3 and the podium. Matty Parker just misses out on the podium, but another solid P4 finish will get him P2 in the championship at this stage in behind Kennedy. Greg will come home in the top 5 with Riali, Buckland, Randall in the top 8 with Caesar and Boyd making up the 10. Arnie, Gallen, Corbett, Sipple and Hoffman will make up the 15 with Dibatito, DeGoey and Monday making up the 18 on the road. As we move on down, we get Peck, Martin and Fox with Power, Healy, Gander, Taylor, Houghton, Peters and Barella making up the top 28 out there. We then move down to Vermey, Crow, making up the 30 with Weston, Clifton, McMillan, Munro, Hanson, Stoyle, Shepherd and Baxter making up the top 38 on the road. With Duggan and Minogue in behind. Duggan did finish on the lead lap. Minogue was 5 laps down. Unfortunately, Jim Caperonis, I don't believe, made the 75% mark. Mark Howard and Trent Bennett definitely did not, so they will not get points for this race. But Jim, I'm not 100% sure what the 75% mark was. But I think the chat...
I think he's got it, mate. I think he has got 75%,
okay,
even though he's 7 laps down. So.
Okay, that's all right then. That's okay. The chat has decided at this stage in time. He did want to come and chat to us. He did mention to us. He did message me and ask me to come chat to us. So I guess Hoffy can come and have a chat. But our Chubby Buns driver of the day for the Vets Split 2 race here out at Phillip Island is Andrew Hoffman. 27 positions gained, getting into the top 15 in that pink Super Cheap Auto WKMP car. An exceptional performance from him. We have got Crosby. We have got Heddersheet in the green room as well. We'll get Hoffy in first, though, as our driver of the day. Mr. Hoff, congratulations on your driver of the day call. You must have just known the chat was going to pick you when you messaged me to ask if you could come in the green room. But now we found a reason, because you were our driver of the day. An exceptional race on you, mate. What happened in qualifying that led to you having to start up the rear of the field and then have to charge your way through?
Oh, just that, being really confident at Phillip Island. And as everyone knows, you get that overconfidence and it'll bite you on the bum. So, yeah, a bit upset with quality, but, the race finished good. And I didn't actually expect to get on chat. I thought no one else might jump in, so I'll jump in.
Well, we got you anyway, mate. I mean, it was a great run from you, obviously. I think at this point in time, obviously, you just be trying to consolidate some positions in the next 7 rounds, get back up into that top 3 battle, and hopefully find yourself back in Split 1 next season. How's it been coming off the break, obviously being in the safety car and then coming back into the Vets for this season, and in amongst the most competitive Split 2 field we've arguably ever had here in the Vets?
Yeah, the break was good. I think about round 4 last season, I was saying to Scott, oh, geez, I'm missing it. This is bad. Maybe I shouldn't have taken the season off. But while I took it off, it gave me a refresh and a reset. And, yeah, it's been good. Loving it.
I do remember that, Hoffy. I remember you saying to me, oh, I'm really hanging to get back out there. And it was about round 4, and it was a long way for the rest of the season. You were in the safety car last season, driving around in the Merc. You didn't get as many laps in as perhaps you wanted in that Mercedes, but due to the driving standards, we were pretty good at times. So, yeah, really good drive, Hoffy. Super stoked that you made up so many positions. And most importantly, you kept your car clean. You got the strategy call right. You saved a little bit of fuel. I think I read in chat there somewhere you were saving fuel. Did that come into play? Was there some strategy that got you up into P15 as well?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. No, there was no fuel saving at all. Like you reminded me 2 seasons ago, put your foot down and you'll gain 5 seconds. So it's more about where I was losing time. I actually take a lot of your advice, and I go out on a sighting lap, find out where I need the car to be, and where I can put my foot down, braking. It's every aspect of what the most I can get out of the car. I think during practice, I think I did a 28.1 as a PB. During quali, I was actually up by 1/10, and I normally have my crew chief turned off so I don't get any distractions. And he told me I was up, and I kind of got a bit excited and looped it. So anyway, but no, it was good fun.
Yeah, well, it was a great result by you, Hoffy. Chubby Bun drivers of the day, Hamish. It couldn't have gone any other way. It was close though, wasn't it? So many good drivers there tonight, Hamish. But Hoffy coming out on top. He's got the Chubby Bun drivers of the day here at Phillip Island, round 3, V8 Veterans Split 2. Well done, mate.
Yeah, cheers, guys, and congrats to Podium. They deserve it.
Well, I reckon, Hoffy, if you had gained 1 less position, it might have gone another way. No, it was an exceptional run, regardless, mate. And congrats once again. Let us know who's helping get you and WKMP Sim Sports out on track, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well as our driver of the day.
Yeah, cheers. WKMP, Super Cheap, Barella Cabinets. Oh, geez, there's too many, and I'm a little bit drunk, so. And I want to say a few seasons ago, Jamie McKnight actually was talking about how he starts revs and everything, and I also looked at Madison Downs video to actually launching the car, and I think Yeah, I did it. Before we even hit turn one, I'd made up 7 spots just from the launch. So big thanks to Jamie McKnight and Madison Down.
Very good, mate. Well, congratulations once again. Best of luck out at Watkins Glen this upcoming week. And if we don't speak to you, best of luck for the rest of the season as well.
All right, cheers, guys, and thanks a lot.
Thank you. Well, Scotty, we'll drag in our P3 finisher for the night, Simon Hedesheed. We don't want to keep him waiting too long.
Oh.
Mr. Hedesheed, what is it about you and Phillip Island?
G'day, boys. Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun. It was on for old and older.
I'm going to use that one. That's a good one for fans.
I just, it's just getting so tight. The quality has just improved out of sight. And, I thought I did a reasonable quality lap, and I probably put 2 identical laps in on my laps. But, it was only good enough for 8th, and it was a struggle to get to the front. And Scott, that if you push a little bit harder to get positions, that you cook the tyres a bit around here, you really struggle on these long corners. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, a lot of concentration. Probably didn't look that close on the broadcast. I'm not too sure, but yeah, you really had to focus the whole time because you're trying not to slide the car. And I think when I got up behind Darren at the end there, he was drifting all over the place. It was, it was quite good. I thought I'd have a go because I was saving my tyres watching him and Matty battle, and I thought they'd come back to me while they were battling each other, and then Matty fell off the track and I had to chase Darren down. But yeah, those guys drive so well, and Stephen just was class at the field as well. So it was, yeah, awesome fun.
Well, obviously, Simon, the last 2 times you were here in Split 2, last time, season 18, didn't really go your way. You had quite a tough day out on track. But the time before that, back in season 14, I mentioned it at absolute length whenever we come here, the strategic masterclass that you played on that day to go from P4 to P1 within the span of a pit stop was exceptional. And tonight, you kind of had a bit of a strategic masterclass, maybe a little bit of luck with the safety car as well. But that really pushed you up over the edge into that last stint to be able to battle with those guys and push your way up through from 6 up into P3 at the end of the day. It was just a great run from you once again, and it's given me kind of hope and signs that this could be a strong season for you and possibly finally the chance that you get to win this Split 2 championship and even get back up into Split 1 next season.
Yeah, thanks, Hamish, but I can't really do it. I just can't do enough races with work, so I'm never going to really have a shot at this stage. Still love my racing, so I'll still jump in, and it's just so competitive. To be fair, the safety car didn't work in my favour because I took all of the fuel I needed, less what was covered over my last stop. And of course, when the safety car come out, they didn't need to put as much in because you're going to get 3 laps under safety car. You can back the fuel off quite a bit. So I didn't really gain much of an advantage there. So I still had to pass cars towards the end there. But really enjoyed it. Everyone was really good, really close racing, and you could go side by side. And yeah, like I said, the quality of drivers in Split 2 is really good. I mean, it was tough in Split 1. With me lacking time to practice to be competitive in there, you've got to be doing way more than turning up on the night and having a crack. But yeah, it was a heap of fun out there. Just didn't quite have enough for those boys at the front there.
Yeah, I thought that was an absolute stellar drive by you, Simon. And Hamish called it early with your strategy, how you did put in that extra fuel in that first stop. And the way you drove that car with that extra fuel that you had in. So we're talking, you must have put in 80, 90 litres, maybe 80 odd litres you've put in on that first stop to be able to do what you did with it. To drive it at the pace through the traffic, make some of those overpasses. You made one of those overtakes, and Hamish might be able to remember it better than I did, but you were fully committed, put it under there. So you had the eyes forward. I think where you got yourself that P3 was that stint there. That stint done it for you and got you up the field. And how was it with that extra weight driving to what the rest of the field had, knowing you had extra weight in that pit stop, and making ground with it. That would have given you a world of confidence to push ahead, mate.
Yeah, look, in all honesty, it's my son always asks me the question too, why are you so fast with the extra weight in the car? I always qualify with more weight than he does when we race together, and I actually like it like that. The car's more stable for me, so I quite like it with a heavy load. I had 88 litres I put in on that first stop, and yeah, I think the door opened a little bit when was it John and Stacey were battling together, and I could stuff it down the inside, and full ups to Jamie on the setup, because that's a corner that I have sort of struggled with previous setups, and it was just so stable through there, and I was actually able to make quite good gains all the way through the race into Miller Corner there, and that was probably set me up for a good result at the end of the day or night.
Yeah, that was a great result there, Simon, and well deserving. P3, Hamish was calling it well on you tonight, mate. He done an unbelievable job. He was onto your strategy, and you made it work. Over to you, Hamish, and well done, mate.
Thanks, bud.
Well, Simon, it was another fantastic performance for you out at Phillip Island. One that we almost kind of come to expect now out of you whenever we come here, but I think it might be a little while till we come back to Phillip Island, to be honest, anyway. But it was a great run from you here tonight. Get it up onto P3. Congratulations, not only from myself, but from Scotty as well. Let us know who helps get you and Fully Served United out on track, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Yeah, firstly, you guys, nice to have Scott on board too, helping out with the broadcast. It adds another element to it, and it's certainly exciting to watch back. Definitely Fully Served United, so it's a joint effort by Fully Flawed and Auto Serve United. Thanks to those guys. All the sponsors and the vets, Racecraft. I spend, when I'm in Australia, my time is in Western Australia, so it's nice that a WA company's on board there with Racecraft Simulations and all the regulars, Logitech, G, Nova Sim Sports, Player One, Sim Gear, and Parramatta Isuzu. Race control, of course, it's a thankless job sometimes, but yeah. No, everyone's racing really well. I really enjoy it, and it's a shame I can't do more. Watkins Glen next week, one of my favourites, but I won't be here for that, so it's a bit unfortunate. Or the one after, I'm going to the V8s in New Zealand. So, yeah. So thanks for the coverage, though. It was really enjoyable.
Well, mate, thanks for coming and have a chat to us here tonight regardless. Best of luck next time you are out on track with us here in Split 2. Hopefully it'll be a good opportunity for you to not only get back on the podium, but possibly get another win. And if we don't speak to you, well, best of luck for the rest of the season when you are able to race with us here.
Yeah, thanks, boys.
Thanks, mate. Alrighty, we will drag in our P2, who I imagine is also here to chat to us about P1 and Stephen Kennedy. Mr. Darren Crosby of M1 Racing. Darren, I ask you this on SOW. Do you want to let anyone else have a chance to come and have a chat to me in a broadcast booth, or what? Because you and Steve you're just taking over at this point. No matter what I'm calling, whether it's vets or whether it's SRW, you're both there all the time.
Oh well, look, I can drop out next week if I win or something, if you like. But I'll probably put a micro on myself now. No, well. Look, I was chasing one guy tonight, and that was Steve Kennedy. We've got a little bit of a relationship where we like to beat each other and we like to push each other, but also in the background, I'm just so proud of him, winning last week and also winning tonight. And, it's pretty impressive, and it's a really good feeling when you're up there with your teammate and you run second to him and you've sort of got the block out on one and two. It's a really good feeling. And, felt sorry for Todd. He had the pace tonight, and Hoffy had a bit of pace in practice, but he stuffed his qualifying up. But he did an excellent job to get where he did tonight. And pretty ecstatic, and thought I'd better come in and say something because Steve said he couldn't make it.
So when are we going to get the moment? Obviously, we've already had it in SOW where you've both had it coming together. When's it going to happen in Split 2 now?
Look, I'm on my best behaviour now. It's usually my fault hitting Steve all the time. So, yeah, I'll hopefully I don't. Hopefully I don't come together with him. But I look, to be honest, I tried to catch him tonight. He was really fast. You know, he did an excellent job. He's been practicing pretty hard, and his racecraft's really improved, and he's really enjoying himself, and yeah, enjoying the racing.
Well done, Darren. M1 Racing P1 and 2 tonight. That's got to be an absolute great feeling being team boss there. Matty Parker backed it up 2 weeks in a row now. You guys running the two-man team here in Split 2 are the team to beat. You guys are in form and driving really well. Do you think some of what Hamish touched on, driving in SRW on a Tuesday night, is helping with your vets racing here, mate?
Oh, definitely. You know, we're putting in a lot of time with SRW because we're having to build our setups, and you know, getting the setups right and we're practicing pretty hard together. And we even had one of our other teammates came in and sat with us through the race, and we're a pretty tight group. And yeah, it definitely helps us. Yeah, 100%.
How does it feel
Yeah.
knowing SRW is going to officials next season, Darren? And they'll be running pretty much the same calendar as Vets will, or they'll be in line with a lot of the Vets races going forward.
That'll be good. It's always good to just practice on the one track through the week. It's you know, each track is completely different to the other track, and the way you take corners and everything like that. So it'll only improve us, and we can put more time into it.
Yeah, it was an absolute stellar performance, mate. I'm super stoked for you. As you know, we chat. I've been following you guys for a long time now, and you know, I was really stoked for Kennedy last week, and I'm absolutely double stoked tonight for you guys to get P1 and 2. You had your obstacles, like you mentioned. Duggan was super quick. You guys were chasing him. You were in the lead prime spot there, sitting around P3, but you know, to take in the draft, save a little bit of fuel. Do you think that played into your part? And along with Kennedy, you guys would have been chatting in the comms. And was there a little bit of that at play? A little bit of strategy going on that you?
There was. I could see Matty pushing up on Steve in the early parts. Well, let's say about 8 or 9 laps to go, and then I thought, well, it's time to put a bit of pressure on Matty, and he was blocking me a little bit, trying to stop me from coming past him. Nothing illegal, and then he made a little bit of a mistake going down the hill in turn 9. I forget the hill anyway. He made a little bit of a mistake and went off the track. So yeah, he was hard to pass Matty, but I knew I had to push him a little bit to keep him away from Steve. So yeah, there was a bit of strategy there.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. It was really good fun to race. And I don't know about you, Hamish, but I really enjoyed calling it, watching the two M1 cars there, seeing the Nova Sim Sports sandwich turn into a M1 sandwich. That was it was great fun and extremely well driven, Darren. And I'll leave it out to you, Hamish, to wind it up. But that was awesome racing tonight, guys. And you know, I'd imagine you'd be extremely proud of your team, yourself tonight, and of course of Kennedy, the way he drove, which was absolutely brilliant, mate.
Yeah, no, 100%, Scott. And mate, thank you for your kind words.
Well, Darren, as you've probably heard me say a million times at this point this season, let us know who's giving you and M1 Racing the support out there, who helps you get out on track, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Okay, I'd like to thank my teammates at M1 Racing, my other teammates that aren't even racing at the moment, coming in and supporting us and helping us build setups and helping us in practice sessions. Also, Parramatta Suzuki, Player One, Logitech. Where's our major sponsor? I forgot already. Racecraft. Yeah, that's all I can think of at the moment. But really enjoyed the racing in Split 2 with the guys. A lot of respect given with a lot of the boys down there. It's like the old Vets days when you're in Split 2. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. And thanks for televising tonight, Hamish and Scotty. Love watching it, and I could see that we had a fair few guys watching it tonight. It was good.
Well, very good, mate. Thanks for coming over chat to us tonight. Maybe word up Stephen, if he makes this a regular occurrence, he needs to come over chat to us too. Because, well, if he goes...
And you just
three-
say you're sick of us? You're sick of us
No,
being up here?
yeah. But he's not coming in as often as you are at this point. So, you know, it needs
All
to
right.
be balanced out a little bit. But
Okay.
but it was a great performance from yourself and from Stephen here tonight, mate. Best of luck out at Watkins Glen this upcoming week. And if we don't speak to you, best of luck for the rest of the season.
All right. Thank you, mate. Thank you. See you, boys.
See you, mate. Well,
Also-
Hamish, wow, what a
Oh,
race.
it was
That was
exceptional.
fantastic, wasn't it?
Oh, it was fantastic. A phenomenal race here out at Phillip Island, of course. It always delivers in one way or the other, Scotty, whether it's some chaos, whether it's some good strategy play, or whether it's just the on-track action itself. It always gives us something to talk about, always gives us something to enjoy. And I think, you know, Phillip Island, there's a reason why we've come here more times than any other circuit. It is because it is absolutely phenomenal to race around, but also phenomenal to call the action at as well. And it's just one of those circuits that when it's on the calendar, you know it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it was absolutely fun to be in the booth here tonight with you, Hamish. And I guess our thoughts, you know, I know it's soon, but we have to start talking about round 4. So that's a totally different track to Phillip Island. Yes, it's another track that's quite wide. It's a longer track than Phillip Island. It's a different setup, slightly different gearings again there. There's a chicane in there. I had a few goes there today, and I found myself quite off the pace, Hamish, which I was surprised at. I haven't raced there for a few seasons, but I had to really start thinking and working hard to readapt from Phillip Island to Watkins Glen. So yeah, there was quite a bit of difference in the tracks to how to drive it.
Well, you know, there's quite a bit of difference in how you drive it, but it has got some very similar characteristics to Phillip Island. Obviously, Phillip Island, formerly a street circuit, now a permanent race course. Watkins Glen used to be a street circuit, now a permanent race course. A portion of the circuit goes through where the main township of Watkins Glen used to be back in the day when it was a street circuit. So there are certain similarities between them. There's you know, obviously some big differences as well. The big talking point is no bus stop chicane this time by at this running of the circuit.
The chicane is in it, mate.
Oh, is it? Oh, because it was
Yeah,
listed as 2007 layout, which doesn't have the chicane.
I know. I couldn't believe it. I would much prefer it without the chicane. But when I jumped in the server today, it had the chicane.
Well, unless someone's... there's been a mistake one way or the other, whether it was whoever set up the server or whoever did the calendar. That's where the differences lie. But regardless, Watkins Glen, with or without the bus stop, it offers up some great racing, but it also offers up some opportunities for chaos, opportunities for carnage, but also some opportunities for some great racing. But that will bring an end to our broadcast here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, for Phillip Island at round 3 of the Racecraft Simulations V8 Veterans Season 19 here for Split 2. Big thank you guys out to all of our series sponsors, including Racecraft Simulations, our title sponsor, as well as Logitech G, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Player One Sim Gear, Nova Sim Sports, as well as Chubby Buns for giving us our Chubby Buns Burgers driver of the day. We thank you guys for taking time out of your day, your night, your morning, your afternoon, whenever you're watching and wherever you're watching from, whether it's from your home, your work, or your holiday destination. We appreciate you taking time out of your lives, bringing us into your life for a period of time. We appreciate the effort that you guys put into supporting the series and to supporting the broadcast as well. It's been an absolute blast these first 3 rounds, and with 6 rounds to go, it's going to be even better along the way. For myself, Hamish Munro, and Scotty Gamble alongside me, we will see you guys next Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, as we go away from daylight savings tomorrow. We will be back here for round number 4 out at Watkins Glen, as mentioned. But until then, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and the bell icon so you are notified anytime we go racing or anytime we bring you some content here on the V8 Veterans YouTube channel. Now, you might be asking yourself, Hamish, where's your interview with Connor Nixon? I've spoken to Connor, and we're going to be organising a time for myself and Connor to get together and to do the broadcast for the interview. So the info will be going out on that very soon. We're going to lock in a date to do it. It may just happen during the night. It may happen on a morning show. All the details will be updated, though, in the Vets Discord of when that will be happening. But you will also be notified whenever we go live with the Sandpit of Split 3 with John Van Ree and the boys. Obviously, Split 2 here with myself and Scotty. Or anything else that we bring your way, whether it's info, whether it's videos, whatever we bring to this channel, you will get notified of it if you click that bell icon. But until next time, we'll see you next time here on the V8 Veterans, here Season 19 for Split 2. But until then, drive safe, be safe, stay hungry, and until then, bye.
Introducing the Rackraft PT1, custom-built full chassis racing simulator. The design project, codenamed The Cage, an 80/40 extrusion chassis sitting on top of a Sigma Integrale DK2 Plus 4-point full motion actuator system. No compromises in the cockpit of the PT1 simulator. To maximize the experience, we start with a 49-inch ultra-wide monitor for the greatest field of view in a small footprint of the simulator, down to the SimuCube wheelbase that's tucked up and behind the monitors with SimCore extensions to get things out of the driving area. Everything is connected to a Cube Controls GTX steering wheel with the built-in dash and all the extra button functions available at your fingertips. Driving through the Raceworks S1 pedals, the potentiometer throttle and the 2 hydraulic pedals for brake and clutch ensures you maximize the feel underfoot, and seating yourself into an OMP HTER bucket racing seat with OMP belts connected to a G-belt tensioner to provide that extra feeling and the heightened experience while you're driving. Additional interfaces and accessories in the PT1, we have twin butt kickers, one on either side of the OMP seat, as well as a Jinx sequential shifter, the SimPush Race Logic timer to the left-hand side, a Racecraft built-in WinSim kit with Philips Hue lighting and a built-in soundbar, plus the OMP side net to finish off the experience in the PT1. The Racecraft PT1, build number 1, the ultimate in sim racing experience, combining the best products in the market with the passionate, no-compromise approach that goes beyond racing simulation.